Hello, I'm Ernie Bilodeau. Welcome to the Club Z in-home tutoring services, tutor training, and paperwork review for both Manatee County and Sarasota SES tutors for the year 2012-2013. All tutors must read the Club Z Tutor Handbook plus the EIA Code of Professional Conduct for SES providers. Both of these will be emailed to you as an attachment. A quick program overview. First, student eligibility has changed this year. Only students that received a Level 1 or a Level 2 in FCAT last year can participate in this program. They also must be attending a Title I school that is qualified in either Manatee or Sarasota County. While funding for this program has changed at the state and local level, Club Z will continue to offer students 20 hours for either in-home tutoring or on-site tutoring. As in prior years, Club Z will use 2 reporting and pay periods per month. The first reporting and pay period goes from the 1st of the month until the 15th of the month. The second period goes from the 16th of the month until the end of the month. Tutor checks usually go out on the 5th business day after the close of the month. Next, we'll look at the paperwork. First, we'll look at the planning and activity sheets that we've asked you to use. We'll review the attendance sheets and how to fill those out correctly. We'll talk about progress reports. We'll review your SCS tutor invoice and how we expect that to be filled out. And then we'll go over the portfolio checklist, which for some of you may be a new requirement this year. Okay, let's go over the tutor planning and activity log. It's probably easiest for most of us to think of this as a lesson plan and then a way to track your progress through your lesson plan. Filling this out is pretty straightforward as well. Start with your student name and grade. Of course, you want to have your name there. Then you want to identify the student goal directly off the student learning plan that's in your files. From there, you really want to go through and identify different activities you're going to work on over your next 3, 4, or 5 sessions. When you complete that, that is your lesson plan. That's your planning guide. When you tutor, as you complete those sessions, please just identify the date you worked on it, the time you started, the time you ended, and it's a great idea to have the parent initial it when you're talking to the parent at the end of your session so they're very aware of what you're doing. At least once a month, a tutor must evaluate whether or not their student is making adequate progress toward their goals. Most tutors will give the student a sheet from the curriculum, have them complete it independently, and then score it. A student must be consistently scoring in the 80th percentile or higher to be considered proficient at a task. Anything that is used to evaluate a student's progress must be labeled as an assessment and left in the portfolio for review. As you complete a planning and activity log sheet, be sure to sign it as the tutor. Next, we'll talk about the activity roster or the attendance sheet. You'll notice that each student has a specific sheet for a month, and that it will be tied to the student and must be used in the appropriate month for the appropriate student. As we tutor, we take this form with us, we go to the day that we're tutoring, we put in our start time and our end time of tutoring. That must reflect tutoring time, not time for setup and catching up with mom or dad. At the end of the session, the parent must initial that session. This would be the time where I have to remind everybody that signatures and initials on activity rosters must be written in blue ink. That is the only way the districts will accept this. At the end of the month, before you send it in, please, as the tutor, print your name, sign your name, and date the form, and then ask the parent to add their name and signature at the bottom of this sheet. After each tutoring session, the tutor must review the session progress verbally with the parent. In that review, you want to talk about what you accomplished, how the child responded, and what the parent can do before the next session. Progress reports are required for each student at least monthly. Because we must import your progress report into the district's SCS reporting system, I ask that you email us your progress report as either a Word document, a text attachment, or inside email. Any format that will allow us to cut and paste from your document into their system is acceptable. If a parent is unable to read English, we are required to translate the progress report into their native tongue. If you are unable to do that, please let us know and we will take care of the translation for you. Please keep the following in mind when reporting progress on a student. Any progress report you give a parent or document should only be related to the student goal on the student learning plan. You should talk about your progress toward the goal. I ask that your progress reports be written in a positive and encouraging manner, but also be honest if there's a problem. Give specific examples of what you've done and what the child has accomplished, any areas of concern, your plans for the next month, and then suggestions on what a parent can do to maximize your tutoring efforts. I've included what I think is a good example of a single goal progress report. Feel free to pause this after to read through it more carefully, but do notice that the tutor was very specific about the number of hours that they've accomplished, what they did in terms of work, and how the student was doing in terms of proficiency. They also mentioned what they're planning on doing next month and what parents can do to help. The tutor invoice you send us is pretty straightforward. You're going to circle which program you're working in, whether it's Manatee in-home or on-site or Sarasota, the date you submitted your invoice, the pay period, and then your contact information. When you get to the student, you're going to give me the student name, the dates you tutored, and how many hours you tutored that student. My office will reconcile your tutor invoice to the paperwork that you've sent along with your invoice. At the bottom of the form, you'll see a reminder of the paperwork that's required along with your invoice in the specific pay periods. A student portfolio is required for each of our students this year. I've included this checklist so you can be more aware of what is expected to be in each portfolio. Among the things that you should have there should be the SLP, you should have progress reports, you should have assessments that you've given along the way, and if you remember, those are simply worksheets that you used to see if a student was proficient in a skill. You should have artifacts, which are basically the worksheets they completed and you guys worked on together, and the tutoring timesheets or the activity log. All tutoring, remember, must match the student goal. So if your goal is in reading comprehension, there shouldn't be artifacts that show a student how to work with a dictionary. Or if you're working in math, there shouldn't be artifacts that relate to only reading. A couple of points to remember. An adult must always be present in the home for tutoring sessions. If you arrive at the home and there is no adult, you may not go into the home to tutor. Also, if you're in the home and the only adult present decides to leave, you must inform that adult that you will have to end the tutoring session, have them sign your attendance sheet, and then you must exit the premises along with the parent. Should you ever observe neglect or abuse, it is your responsibility to report it to the authorities. It is the law. After you report it to the appropriate authorities, I would expect you to contact Club Z and give us the information so that we can pass that on to the school district. Remember, a child's safety always comes first. I would like to remind you, you may never drive students or their families in any motor vehicle. Again, initials and signatures are required at each session. Never have your parents pre-sign paperwork, and always use blue ink when signing paperwork for this program. This is a federal program. Your paperwork will not only be reviewed by your parents and my office, but potentially by the classroom teacher, the school district, the Florida Department of Education, and potentially the Federal Department of Education. How you complete your paperwork is a reflection of your professionalism. Okay, last reminder. For both on-site and in-home tutors, signatures or initials are required after every session in blue ink. Before we can give anyone students, we must confirm that you have read the tutor handbook, that you've reviewed the ethics of an SES provider, and you've listened to this webcast. Please send either Diana or Melissa a quick email confirming that you have done all those things. Include in that email the code phrase tutoring at home to prove that you've watched the webcast. I want to thank you for participating not only in the training but in the program. I am very, very proud of my tutors. I am proud of what we've done for our students, and I look forward to having a great year with all of you. If you have any questions at all during the course of this year or this program, please don't hesitate to contact either Diana or Melissa, either by email, as shown here, or by fax. We are here to support you and make this a successful program for everybody.